Welcome friends to our channel. As you all know, these days every other creator is making videos only on horror stories. Without bringing anything new, we are also here with another horror story channel. So, today's story is about my friend's cousin. We can't reveal her real name, so we'll call her Riya. Riya is a very ambitious girl. She comes from a village where people are not very educated, but with her hard work, she got admission to Punjab University, Chandigarh in India on a scholarship. Before we move on, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel, or else the next horror incident could happen to you. After getting admission to the college, she was allotted Girls' Hostel number 5, also known as Satri Bai Phulle Hall. Her friends told her that this hall was haunted, but Riya didn't believe in ghosts. Ignoring this, she focused entirely on her studies. The first 2 years of college went very well for Riya, but something happened in her final year that she would never forget. It was the month of November, and all the girls were preparing to go home for Diwali. Unfortunately, Riya's train ticket was not confirmed, so she could not go home. But instead of being sad, she thought, why not make my final project even better? So, the night before Diwali, she was sitting in the hall working on her project. It was past midnight, and Riya suddenly felt like she was all alone in this big hall. There was a strange silence, but ignoring all these things, she was just focused on her work. But after some time, she felt as if someone was watching her, but the hall was completely empty, and suddenly the temperature dropped drastically. She looked around, but there was no one there. Still, she started to feel a little scared, a fear she had never felt before. Just then, she heard a terrifying scream from the left side of the hall. It was a very painful scream, as if someone was in great agony. After this, Riya's heart started pounding with fear. The shocking thing was that it didn't sound like the scream came from far away, but from somewhere close to her. Because she didn't believe in all these things, she thought that this being such an old building, the sound must have come from some old door or window. But a few seconds later, she heard another scream, which she completely ignored and continued with her work. Just then, Riya heard the sound of soft footsteps, as if someone was approaching her. But when she turned to look, there was no one there. Then the soft footsteps turned into loud, heavy footsteps, which made Riya's heart skip a beat, and she quickly started packing her things. She quickly ran towards the door and tried to open it, but it was locked, which had never happened before. From the other side of the door came a sound. Knock, knock, knock. And the door opened by itself, which terrified Riya, and she froze. But after a minute, she remembered that she had to run, and without caring about anything, she ran with all her might towards the corridor. Just then, she saw what still sends shivers down her spine to this day. A woman, or some entity, was right in front of her, wearing a white sari. The lower part of the entity's body was very hazy. Her face was covered by her long hair. For a moment, she thought it was her imagination, but when she looked again, the woman was closer. Her eyes were hollow, but Riya felt like she was looking right at her. Riya ran towards the exit of the hall, but the door was locked. She tried to open it with all her might, but to no avail. Now Riya was crying out of fear, begging to be left alone. After some time, the door opened, and a very scary voice said, "Don't come back." Riya quickly ran out of there towards her room. Reaching her room, she called her mother and told her everything. The next morning, when her family came to see her, she was running a fever of 103 degrees, and there were strange marks on her face, as if someone had scratched her face with their nails. Seeing her, her family got very scared and immediately took her home. But after all this, she became very scared and would get frightened by even the slightest sound. Her family couldn't bear to see her in this condition. Her family, though reluctant, took her to a well-known priest and had an exorcism performed on her. They also performed a havan, sacred fire ritual, at home for her, after which she gradually returned to normal and completed the rest of her studies from home. Now Riya is absolutely fine and happy in her life, but even today, such incidents keep happening in Satri Bai Phulle Hall, the reason for which no one knows. So friends, how did you like today's story? However you felt, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so that nothing like this happens to you and you get to know about all our upcoming videos. See you next time, right here, with a new story. Thank you, and goodbye.